Hello and welcome to Cinema Therapy. I'm Alan Seawright.
Excuse me, do you happen to know any Nazis I could punch in the face?
What are you wearing?
I am just a shadowy reflection of you. It would take only a nudge to make you like me.
Well, now you're just getting nasty. What is happening?
You know you love it.
I do.
Let's do this thing! All right, hello and welcome to Cinema Therapy. I'm Jonathan Decker, licensed therapist who loves movies. This is
Alan Seawright, professional filmmaker who needs therapy, and part of the reason I need therapy is Jono made me dress up in cosplay.
You look fantastic, by the way, sir.
Thank you very much. I actually love this.
Yeah, it's super
I've never had an Indiana Jones costume until now.
Good to go.
I bought all this stuff. I didn't rent it.
And I, for once, don't have to dress like a stuffy therapist. I can be who I was always meant to be.
World-weary adventurer, archaeologist, therapist.
Yeah.
Perfect.
This is me. Anyways, so this month we are celebrating both the 40th anniversary of Raiders of the Lost Ark and my 40th birthday. I was born 6 days before this movie came out.
Yeah, and I was born only a month before you. This film literally is my childhood. Back when we were kids, Indiana Jones was Marvel.
So why does Indy, for those who are of a different generation, why does Indy mean so much?
I mean, he was the hero that, like all cool little boys, let's be honest, we were pretty cool. We weren't. But he was the hero that we all wanted to be. He had swagger, he was awesome, he had a whip.
He was smart and educated, but also very physical, right? And he could pull out, and always escaping by the seat of his pants.
And he punched Nazis.
But now as an adult, what really speaks to me about Indiana Jones is his resilience and his adaptability.
Yeah.
So resilience is toughness and the ability to bounce back from difficulty, and adaptability, which is the ability to adjust to new situations. Because let's face it, Indy makes plans, he does a lot of research, his plans are fine.
They're fine. They never go well. Never even come close to working.
Besides, you know what a cautious fellow I am.
But his improv is fantastic.
I don't know. I'm making this up as I go.
Let's talk about this opening scene and the history of Indiana Jones, because George Lucas had just come off of Star Wars, huge hit. Steven Spielberg just come off of Jaws, huge hit.
And Close Encounters of the Third Kind.
And Close
also
Encounters.
A huge hit.
And Spielberg wants to do a James Bond film. You're familiar with the
Oh
story,
yeah,
right?
I've heard this story a million times.
And what does George Lucas say?
Oh, I've got something better than, except it's George Lucas. I was like, oh, I've got something better than James Bond. They're actually hanging out together on a beach.
Yeah.
Like, George was trying to get away from the Star Wars opening day stuff because he thought it was going to be a bomb. He's like, oh, it's going to do terribly. So they're in between, like, getting phone calls on the beach. Hey, you're a millionaire now.
Yeah, congratulations.
Congratulations.
Your movie's taken off.
You just made all the money. He's like, oh, well, good. Let's make a James Bond movie, but it's better than that.
So Lucas has this idea that he thinks is going to trump James Bond. But what I love about Raiders of the Lost Ark is it still opens like a Bond movie.
Oh, yeah.
Like, we're at the tail end
Of some other adventure. It's just a big action sequence.
So why does that work both for Bond and for Indy?
Well, it's en media res, right? Which is like in the middle of a story. Mm-hmm. So there's no context, there's no anything. You're just dropped in. Here's this guy. He might be the bad guy. Like, he's shadowy. He whips a dude.
Yeah.
Like,
in self-defense.
in self-defense. But still, it's like, who is this shadowy, dark character? And this is just so emblematic of Indiana Jones. He did all the preparation, he thinks he's nailed it, and then he's like, oh, maybe not. Let me fix this. Gotta improv.
He's got his whip, he's got his gun. Like, he's ready.
Baby Alfred Molina.
Uh-huh.
And, of course, his plans never work.
Here come the poison darts. I miss practical effects. I mean, CG does wonders, but I love a good set.
Give me the whip. Throw me the idol. No time to argue. Throw me the idol. I throw you the whip. Give me the whip. Adios, señor.
So immediately, he's not sitting there going, oh crap, he's taking action. because
Doesn't wait around.
And that's the thing, like his whole plan went to crap. And instead of bemoaning what's going on, he's like, gotta think quick, gotta act quick.
And that doesn't work.
So thinking of the era this was made, this is like Dirty Harry and tough Clint Eastwood, John Wayne stuff. Like the heroes are bold and unflappable. Indiana Jones shows fear, he shows panic. His plans...
He gets hurt.
He gets hurt, they go poorly.
Speaking of practical effects, that's just great.
Adios, Vito.
My favorite part of the Disney ride. The sound.
Yeah. Ben
Is that
Burt,
thunder, or what did
Ben Burt at the height of his powers.
So how did they do the sound of the boulder? Because to me it just sounds like...
It's incredible, right?
It's amazing.
It's a Toyota.
What?
It's a little rinky-dink, like 1978 Toyota whatever, Tercel or something. Engine off, gravel road going down the hill, and Ben Burt's just hanging out, like holding a microphone next to the tire. That's like 90% of it. There's some other stuff to like beef it up.
So what I love about this scene, I like talking about the era that it was made in. He's so not the hero of that era. And this is 1981. And it's launching into the 80s. And it's interesting that action heroes in the 80s didn't generally follow suit. We had Schwarzenegger, we had Stallone. We didn't have vulnerability.
Yeah, big beefy tanks.
Yeah, big beefy tanks. And Ford is athletic and
Sure.
he's fit, but he's not like this big giant guy.
No, he looks like a regular dude who, lifted some weights one time.
What I think as a kid you relate to Indy because he's terrified.
Yeah.
And as a kid, the world's pretty scary.
Sure.
And so he's terrified. And then there's a great book. It's called Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway. And I love just the title. And Indy really, really speaks to that. And the resilience and the adaptability of, he thought, I'm going to go in. I know where the booby tracks are. I'm going to switch it out. I'm going to make my way out of the cave. And all hell broke loose. And that happens throughout the entire series.
Everything he does, it gets worse. And then he'll overcome one thing and three more things pile on top of him. It is...
Right.
It's fantastic storytelling because obviously that was happening in the script stage. And it's just brilliant, absolutely pitch perfect filmmaking to set up so many dominoes in a way where you as the audience go, oh, don't go there. Oh, he went there.
Let's talk about Marion for a second.
Yeah, Marion is clearly the best of the indie love interests.
Agreed.
So glad that we don't call them Bond girls or Indiana girls.
Indie girls.
Indie girls.
Yeah, no, she's a love interest.
That sounds like a band. The Indie Girls.
If you wanna be my lover, you gotta get with my...
Anyway.
Yeah, why is that?
Because she can hold her own.
I need one of the pieces your father collected.
Yeah.
You're freaking Indiana Jones. She can, she punches Nazis. She's got a mean right hook with a frying pan. She can outdrink pretty much anybody. I mean, she's basically the heterosexual version of Valkyrie.
So, drinks.
Do I know you? I feel like I've known you.
I feel like I know you too. It's weird.
Indy and Marion ending up together is easily my favorite aspect of Kingdom of the Crystal Skull.
Kingdom of the what now?
It's the fourth Indy movie.
There isn't a fourth indie movie. Indiana Jones is a trilogy.
They ask you how you are, you just have to say that you're fine when you're not really fine, but you just can't.
This seems like a good time to talk about suppressed memories versus repressed memories. In response to a traumatic experience that a person deems too difficult to deal with, repression is when the brain involuntarily blocks memories. Suppression is when it happens on purpose. Whichever is happening with my friend here,
Last Crusade is the Last Crusade.
I don't have time to help him through it, so I'm just going to enable him through distraction. Hey, Alan, look!
Last Crusade.
Indy's punching Nazis!
What?
Yay! Speaking of Marion being Indy's equal, during the basket chase, she uses the resources around her, gets the job done, protects herself. She's just freaking awesome, and that leads us, of course, to this moment.
Oh, you're gonna make me talk about this, aren't you?
I am.
That's great. It's still funny. 40 years later, it's
40
still
years
funny.
later, it's still a great gag. Now, some of you know this, a lot of you don't. That wasn't how the scene was originally supposed to happen, right?
No, they had choreographed a whole big fight scene. There was going to be, him dealing with the sword and the whip and the whole 9 yards. And what we ended up with is an improvised moment on set that adds to the character and tells you a lot about Indiana Jones, gets back to his adaptability, especially. And it's because Harrison Ford had eaten some bad food and basically had the trots. He didn't want to shoot. They were going to set up and do this whole thing after lunch and like spend the whole afternoon shooting this thing. Harrison Ford and a bunch of the crew were sick. They're in Tunisia. They'd eaten bad food. He was like, let's just have me shoot him. We can do it in 2 shots and be out of here in 45 minutes. And Spielberg was like, cool. So they just wrapped early that day.
And what I love about that, 1, for the character, but 2, for the actual behind the scenes, is resilience and adaptability.
Yeah, it's Harrison Ford just being Indiana Jones. He's like, I can't deal with this.
Well, we've got hardship. Like, our lead actor is so sick, and I think there might have even been someone on the crew, as I recall. Like, it was
lots of people on the crew. Like, people ended up in the hospital with this stuff.
Yeah,
Like,
and so here's a moment where I think this was the last day they had to shoot there. They had to think on their feet. It could have been a catastrophe, and it ended up being one of the most infamous moments and one of the best moments. One of the best moments in the film.
Tells you so much about Indiana Jones, and it's because Harrison Ford, the man, was informing his character.
And this speaks to me therapeutically because life is what happens while you're making other plans, right? Like, so we make plans, we do research, we get ourselves ready, and I'm not saying we shouldn't plan. Like, if you have no plan, it's going to go poorly. The fact is, if Indy had no plan, he'd have no gun, he'd have no whip, he wouldn't have his satchel bag, he wouldn't have all the research that gets him where he is. Like, it's got to be the balance. But shit happens.
Yeah.
Right? And so I love just this concept of some of the best things that will ever happen because you thought on your feet and adapted. So Indy thinks that Marion's dead. She's actually captured. When he discovers that she's still alive, obviously the thing you do is you rescue
Go rescue the damsel in distress, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, and how much of a damsel is Marion? Not.
He knows she's not, but
But you're right. Like, that's the trope, right?
Right. Yeah, sure.
And this is what I love about Indy. Like, at every turn, he does the exact opposite of what other heroes would do. Like, that whole swordsman thing, I think of so many movies where the heroes are going to fight with honor. Like, Three Musketeers comes to mind, right? My opponent doesn't have a sword, I will toss them a sword, and we will fight gallantly and with honor. And Indy's like, oh, screw that, you know?
Brought a knife to a gunfight, dummy.
Right? And same thing when he gets to Marion, the logical thing is to rescue your partner. But he realizes, if I rescue you, they'll know that I'm here, and they won't stop looking for us. I'm going to come back for you once I've got the ARK. But you would think, I mean, we're dressed as Indy, but the film is equally about Marion, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So Indy leaves her there.
I just wouldn't look as good cosplaying as Marion.
There's only one way to find out. So
I'm just thinking about what our comments are going to be now. Once Indy leaves, she adapts and overcomes.
Yeah.
She sort of flirts with, but in a very Marion way, and challenges a guy to a drinking match, basically. Yeah. Gets a dude drunk so she can escape. She's not going to flirt with him. She's not going to seduce him. She's not going to do the sort of standard...
Well, she'll flirt with him, but she's not going to seduce him. A little bit,
but she's not going to seduce him. She's not going to, like, you know...
I mean, there's a hint of flirting there, but mostly what she does is appeal to his ego.
Yeah.
Like, she's playing it perfectly.
Yep.
Right? And of course, Belloc is doing the same thing. He's playing her, but Indy goes into the Well of Souls, and I love that he hates snakes.
Snakes. Why did it have to be snakes?
It's so great.
Why does that matter?
It's because it gives our hero a weakness that's not even a... I mean, this is not even a, like, Achilles heel weakness. It's just a foible.
Yeah.
It's just a, like, you know, outside of my Achilles heel, which is my one weakness which will destroy me, there's also just, I'm a dude, and snakes are gross.
Yeah.
Yuck.
And so when they're in there in the Well of Souls, and of course Belloc comes again, and there's nothing you can possess that I can't take away, and so Indy's stuck there with Marion, but the whole time, he's using fire, he's looking for, like, and the moment they get shut in there, he is immediately looking for a way out.
How the hell are we gonna get out of here?
I'm working on it.
Well, whatever you're doing, do it faster!
Like, he knows how fast. The moment they close the door, there is no, what are we gonna do? We're gonna die. He's immediately scanning the room. It's just, what are the solutions? And I love that about the characters. He's always looking for solutions. Mm-hmm. And that is a crucial thing when it comes to hardship in our life, is to not get stuck with the self-pity or the hopelessness. And sometimes things seem insurmountable, and sometimes they might be. But I watched this movie, and I'm reminded actually of our episode on The Martian. That's another movie about impossible circumstances. And it's not even just grit.
It's resilience and adaptability.
Yeah.
I'm going to tough it out, and I'm going to figure out another solution to it.
So, of course, they
now
make
I
it
want
out.
to see Indiana Jones on Mars.
No!
is dealing with a problem. He's dealt with it. Great.
Hey, Gunnar! Come here! Come here! Kom, Kem! Junge!
I love that they get the biggest guy they can find.
Okay.
Which is awesome. Like, a lot of movies will pit the hero against the giant to show how awesome the hero is. You know, like Bruce Lee will face will Kareem Abdul-Jabbar or whatever. But in this movie...
I'm gonna cheat. I'm gonna trick the guy. One punch and he's out. Oh, damn it. It's so good.
But story-wise, you set him up as a perpetual underdog.
Yep.
You know? Which makes him more relatable. Oof. Don't do the Kirk move. So once again...
Whatever I can do to cheat and win.
I love Marion's like, look what I did.
Look what I did. I'm so proud.
Ooh, those ribs are not...
Not happy.
So she gets in to fix it, and oops. So in a lot of movies, the woman tries to fix it, it makes it worse, and the hero has to save her, right?
Right.
In this movie, she gets herself trapped, and at first it seems like that situation, and then she...
pulls out the machine gun. Yeah, Indy is having a tough time dealing with one guy. She has now dealt with 8.
And, you know, it's not like, oh, she's the woman, so her plans went wrong. Because Indy's plans go wrong all the time. Like, they're literally... We pause just so we can listen to the music.
Come on, man. Yeah, and again, she's causing all these problems with the gasoline and the explosion and all of this, but she's causing problems dealing with other problems. So it's all just setting up more dominoes.
For a cascading orgy of amazing action.
And we now know, oh, there's a fuel truck leaking and there's a fire over there. This is definitely going to be a thing.
This is such a Spielberg setup, like the cascading, like everything just keeps going wrong.
Yep.
I love I love Spielberg, period, but early Spielberg is just...
It's so good.
And like I said, like, Indy habitually tries to fix things and makes things worse too, so it's not a Marion thing.
No, they're both doing the same stuff. They're winning at one thing and setting up 2 more problems.
Which
every
feels
time.
a lot like real life,
It really
honestly.
does. Oh, you're going to want to listen to these punches, aren't you? Ugh. 40 years old, still the best punches ever in movies. The saw sound effect.
It's like a table saw.
It's a table saw. Oh, it's so gross and so amazing.
Once again, so we gotta adapt, so we blow the lock off with a gun.
And ruh-roh. Such a good action sequence.
I know. So, I mean, everything that can go wrong does go wrong.
Yep.
You talk about dominoes of just crap happening.
It
and
always
things going wrong.
comes in threes, right?
Yeah, like it just builds, and very often you just want to sit down and give up. Mm-hmm. And the biggest reason why is specifically what's happening is not that you're a quitter. It's that, no, I'm trying to fix things, and I just keep...
Yeah, I just fixed 9 things, and there's 12 more things wrong. I'm not a quitter. I just have a limit, and it's 9.
And the belief that I'm going to just keep screwing it up.
Yeah.
And so we get to this place of I need rescuing. And what I love about the Indy and Marion dynamic of Raiders is that in every Indy adventure, he has somebody that he's with. And as awesome as Indy is... Without his people, he's not getting out of anything. Temple of Doom, especially Short Round, right? Short Round plays a key role. Last Crusade, without his dad, like Indy and Sala, and I mean, we do need other people. We do need help when things go wrong and things go sideways. 1, we need people we can trust. 2, you need to just keep going. And sometimes you got to stop and regroup, which is what happens here. Like that, they got out by the skin of their teeth. They failed their objective, but they survived. And immediately, okay, what went wrong? What are we doing differently? Because the ARK is now being put onto a truck. And one of the greatest lines is when he says,
I'm going after that truck. Oh. I don't know. I'm making this up as I go.
Jump on a truck, get shot, whatever.
So he got shot in the arm. That's why the blood's all over there.
I remember, like, as a kid and kind of my whole life being like, why is Indy getting beat up by this old sort of balding man? And I look at that guy now and I'm like, I'm his age.
And he really sells it when he's getting punched in the arm, how much it hurts. Oh, what a stunt.
So good. Actually, Harrison Ford in a position that could kill him.
And before this guy jumps in, Indy was on top. Like, he thought he'd gotten rid of everybody and he was going to win. I can't tell you how many times I felt like that. So as we're watching this, tell us about stunt work here, man.
So a lot of this is Vic Armstrong, who wrote an amazing book about just a lifetime of being a stuntman. Some of it is actually Harrison Ford, though.
Yeah, when you get to
that's Harrison Ford being dragged. And, you know, they sped the film up a little bit, but, like, that's some real stuff. They took a guy under a truck and dragged him behind a truck. And that stuff hurts. Like, it doesn't matter what kind of pads you have on. It's just great stunt work.
I always love the head slam.
Yeah. And Harrison Ford does such a great job. His physical acting is so good.
Yeah. Dude's gonna try and do the same thing. The barely concealed violence in this film is fantastic.
It's so, like, horrific, but comedy horrific.
Right?
And then just humanity. Boom. Like, the second he's done with, like, okay, I think I've dealt with everything. Oh, now I'm just an old man and ow, that hurts.
I think of, hard things I've been through in my life, hard things you've been through in your life. How much of a role does pain and enduring pain play in coming out on top at some point?
Resilience and adaptability are, I'm sure you have a better knowledge of this than me, but it seems like they are two of the biggest keys to actually succeeding in life.
Yeah.
Is the ability to just sack up and go,
Yeah. And that's different from pulling yourself up by your bootstraps, which is
absolutely.
Which is a misapplication of what we're seeing here. When people say just tough it out, pull yourself up by your bootstraps and figure it out, what they're really saying is, I don't have the patience for your problems, so just figure it out.
Yeah, I don't want to help you.
Yeah, I don't want to help you. Because the fact is, life is rough, right? And we see later Marion trying to take care of Indy, when he's all sore in bed and everything. And we do need compassion. We do need kindness. We do need sometimes a reprieve, which they go on the boat and Indy has a chance to consummate his relationship with Marion and rekindle their romance, and he just falls asleep. Which speaks more to me as a 40-year-old husband than it really should.
It's not the years, honey. It's the mileage.
And just time and time again, Belloc sums it up when he says,
"Your persistence surprises even me."
And then people talk about, at the end, well, did Indy even play a role? And I will say Indy's preparation played a major role both in all of this happening. His partnership with Marion played a major role in all this happening, and especially when at the beginning when he's like,
"Did you guys ever go to Sunday school?"
Like, his knowledge of what happens, don't look into the ARK, is what saves them.
Yeah.
Indiana Jones speaks to me as a character of great intelligence. A lot of 80s action heroes weren't especially intelligent.
Nope.
He's very smart, he's very prepared, but to me, he really speaks to the importance of sticking it out, of bouncing back, of getting up, of keeping going, of immediately looking for solutions, and of relying on people in your life. What about you? Like, I imagine as a filmmaker of about my age, this...
well, it may have had a small influence on me. You know, Indiana Jones, the character, has influenced me in my life, mainly in just a lot of my speech patterns. I do a lot of sort of indie-isms. And obviously, as a filmmaker, I aspire to make films like this. This is the kind of thing that gets me out of bed in the morning. You know, genre, fun, action, adventures with a lot of comedy and a lot of good scares. Like, that is what I want to make.
Yeah.
This is what I want to do with my life.
Yeah.
And it's because this was such an escape for me as a kid. And I want to be able to bring that kind of joy and fear and just all of the emotions and all of that fun, you know. I want to make that for my kids and other people's kids. I want to give other people's kids nightmares. If you're enjoying this, which I know you are, you can find us on social media at therapy_cinema on Twitter and Instagram and r/cinema_therapy to make it very confusing. That's where we're at. You can find us. We'll talk to you.
Check that action out. So until next time, snakes. Why'd it have to be snakes? And
watch movies!
Why does the floor move?
Snakes. Why did it have to be snakes?
Asps. Very dangerous. You go first.